Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a chain stitch and how to make a double crochet. So you want to start out with your slip knot, and so here's the end of my yarn. And the way I do it is to wrap the yarn around my fingers to make the slip knot, and then I grab the back string and pull it, and then tighten it up. And you don't want it to be too tight because you need to be able to slip the hook through it. And you also want to make sure, I had mine upside down there, that the tail part is pointing downwards. So then to wrap the yarn around your fingers, wrap it around your pinky like that, and then bring it up in between those fingers, and then sort of pull it so that it's comfortable. This right here is about as far away as you ever want to be as you're working. You want to keep this tight, you want it to be comfortable, and you want to have plenty of room to work your hook. So to start making a chain, you grab some yarn and pull it through the loop. Grab the yarn and pull it through the loop. And I have a tendency to rotate my hook while I'm crocheting. I don't know if there's an advantage to that, but it's how it's comfortable for me. And the most important thing to remember as you're doing this is hold the hook the way it's comfortable for you, and just move the yarn and work with it the easiest way for you to do it. So for instance, another way to hold the hook is like this. This doesn't really work for me. Like, I can do it, but it doesn't feel right. I like to hold my hook like this, sort of in a grip. And you just keep going, and there you have a chain. Now if you look really closely at it, there's like this V pattern. The top loops are the front loop, and the bottom loops are the back loop. So when a pattern tells you to work in front loop only or in back loop only, that's what they're talking about. And then if you turn it over, there's a neat little row of bumps, and those are called the back bumps. Some very creative terms going on here. So I'm going to make a chain of 23 because I want my finished project to be 20 stitches wide, and I'm going to be doing double crochet. And when you double crochet, you always want to add 3 and then start your stitch in the 4th one from the hook. So I wasn't paying any attention as I did this, so I've got to count them now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's my 20, and then I have to add 3. And you probably noticed I would move my fingers up. That's because you don't want to be holding too far down like this. Your tension will be all out of whack. You always want to be holding it pretty carefully. So I need to add my 3. 1, 2, 3. And then to start a double crochet, you do what's called a yarn over. Just sort of wrap the yarn around the hook. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, the 4th loop from the hook, and insert it like that. And then you're going to do yarn over, and you're going to draw up a loop. So now you've got 3 loops on the hook. You're going to get another loop and pull it through just the first 2, like that. Get another loop and pull it through the last 2. So now you should only have 1 loop on your hook. And And you do that in the next one. And I kind of ran into a snag here. Sometimes as you're working with the yarn, you'll catch a little bit of the wrong loop, like I did, and you'll notice it because the tension just won't feel right. I don't know how else to explain it to you. And this first row is always really tricky. It's just kind of hard to do. It's a small little bit that you're working with this chain, but you know, eventually you'll get to the end and it'll all be good. So just like on the cooking shows, here I have my first row magically done, or very close to it anyway. I'll just finish it up here. So like I said, each double crochet, you just pull through the first 2 loops and you pull through the last 2 loops. Yarn over, insert it in the front loop, and then pull through the first 2 loops and pull through the last 2 loops. So now I'm at the end. So what do I do now? You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to flip your work. You've still got your chain here, and you're going to yarn over, and if you look, there's a loop here and it's sort of attached to this chain. Now if you crochet into that loop, you'll end up increasing your project by 1 stitch with every round that you do. So you don't want to do that. That's one of the mistakes I kept making as I was learning how to crochet. What you want to do is go into this next loop here, right there. So yarn over, draw up a loop, and 2 loops, and 2 loops. And that's how you make a turn. And then you're on your second row. And your second row should just feel so much easier than the first row. You have more fabric to hold on to as you're working. And you've gone through all that practice of making the first row. So it should feel much better by the time you get to this point. And then when you get to the end of this row, what you need to do is chain 3 and turn it again and just keep going. And you'll notice some patterns tell you to crochet into just the front loop. So that would be just this one, and then there's still a loop in the back. And sometimes they'll tell you just the back loop. So that's when you skip this front one and go on just the back. But for something like a scarf or even a hat, or really most of the projects that I do, I like to go through both of them at once. And that way, you don't have a line. If you go through just the front or the back loops, you'll have a line of loops in between each row of stitches. And sometimes that's what you're looking for. Sometimes you want some horizontal ribs, or you want the fabric to lay in a certain way, like if you're doing a brim of a hat. It'll go the direction that you want if you go through the correct loops. And patterns will usually tell you that. And you know, go ahead and experiment with what it looks like if you go through just the front loops or just the back loops, and just get a feel for what the yarn does as you're working with it. But if you're looking for that smooth finish, go ahead and go through both loops. And so there you have it. That is how to double crochet.